Welcome back guys to another modding tutorial. This is going to be a rather quick showcase on how to create this loot box mod, just so we have it recorded, and in case someone wants to create something similar, they can easily look up this video, and well, it was requested. Now here we are in the Unity mod editor. We will first go ahead and create a mod. Let's just call it Lootboxes. And we have our mod. Now for the mod itself, we will have 4 requirements. We need to first create an item. The item is what we later interact with to, in this case, get our loot. It's just an item for our inventory. Secondly, we will need to add the loot box functionality so that you get a random treasure item or random item in general when you interact with it. Thirdly, we want to add the item to an NPC store so that we can easily purchase it in the game. I did so with the farmer NPC later on. And then lastly, we want to add a localization to the item, so it's not just without name, without description, but rather it has a description, it has a name, so you can easily use it and explain what it does. So here we are. We can also now check out my Excel file, not Excel file, my PDF file I once did with the different Excel files, their names and what they actually represent. As mentioned, we absolutely want the Whoopin so-called items Excel. This allows us to create another item. Then we want the items treasure chest functionality. This is what decides which items you get when you open it. It's just like a treasure chest, loot box, whatever, any of those random items you can get from it. It also includes stuffs those nameless jewelry pieces, boxes you can purchase from NPCs. Besides these two, we would also want, and for that I will head to the folder with the different Excel files. The ones I mentioned, Whoopin and Whoopin the treasure chest, can be found in the first folder. We additionally want the faction stores to add the item to a store. This would be found in folder 2. It is this file in particular. If I open it and drag it down onto the other monitor, you can see it has the faction goods from each of the factions, including Daliang City, Chuxiang, Linan City, the different sects, and the first one in particular is the nameless village. So that's what we want on top. And then lastly, to add localization, this would be folder 3. We want the localization for items, which would be Whoopin as well. We just need to find it. I can there it is, all the way up top. So those are the different files we would want. So we can open this in Explorer and drag all of them in. Now that we have our 4 necessary Excel files, let's start with the editing process. We will first start with Whoopin, which is the item Excel file. Since we are creating an item that kind of exists already, we'll make it easy for ourselves and reference of an existing one. Right here, the ID 29,501 to about, I believe, 29,658 are already existing loot boxes in quotation marks. They are items that when opened grant you other random items, just like the jewelry one. So I'll just go above it, insert a line. You can then pick an ID. You want to pick an ID that is not yet used. You could just be simple, pick the ID -1. You could do what I did and just pick an arbitrary ID which is unlikely to have been taken. We'll just go for a simplistic route. Next up, you need an internal name for the item. I'll just pick lootbox. Then we'll copy this over. For the third one, pick the rarity. Do you want it to be a common item, a green item, blue? purple or legendary one. It is purely cosmetic for our case. The price, let's just make it cheap. Is the item stackable? We absolutely want this. The unit name doesn't matter. The icon. Theoretically, you could add another icon into your Unity mod editor and create your own icon for the item, but we just are cheap. We'll just do it the easy way. We'll copy the icon from the next item which already exists in the game. That's what I did as well. Don't worry about that it's orange. It do be like that. We'll copy a consumable special item over as well. Usable in roaming, which is when you're just on the world map, yes, we want that. Usable in battle, nope. Copy this over. Can bulk use, this is important. We want to absolutely be able to bulk use it. And then just copy this. And we are essentially done with this file. We just need to remember what is our internal name and our internal ID. For the next part in the process, we open our Whoopin file. Okay, this is way better up here. And you can see the different items here. Even is the next ID I was talking about, 29,501. You can see the internal name of the item again. That's why I mentioned keep those two in mind. Then the different items you can obtain, and the way it's done, it's the ID of the item, the quantity, the weight, and then a comma for the next item. It just follows this exact pattern the whole time. So we can just go ahead, insert a line above, paste in our ID, preferably without that like circumflex in front, loot box. We want get item. Now for the get item function, what I just did to make it a lot easier is I went to the Excel with all of the items, just copied this whole column, fed it into AI to make it create this exact pattern with 1 and then 10, and just pasted all of it in here. In fact, I even have it saved up in. Now, next up, do we want it random? Absolutely. Is there any usage restriction? We don't need to have one. You can see it with some of the other files. There doesn't have to be one, and we don't want one either. You could set it that you can only use it past level 10, past level 50, only with strength levels of 50, etc. Not relevant for us. Then our next Excel file would be for the faction store. This contains the data on all of the different stores in the game. I would like to add it to the nameless village, which is Wuming Xiao Shi, I believe. And here you have the different sellers. First one would be the farmer. It's best to like copy this into a translator so you know what exactly it is. This is the farmer, this is for Xinjiang. We'll just make it simple, add it to the farmer. We can change the trade ID to +1. You could also write something like 20. It does not have to be in order. All that is important is it's a free ID, an unused ID so far. In some cases, I believe with one of these NPCs, if you just add like 409 as a trade, it won't show up because it's currently already used. But if it's something like 420, it will work because it's not used. The faction exactly, nameless village. The item we would want is the loot box. How many should the vendor sell? We want to sell 50 of them. Next up is how often should he restock it. -1 would be he never restocks, 1 is after 1 day, 2 is after 2 days. It even says it if you hover over this information up here. The currency type, we want it to be sold for money. It also has a slight hint for what it means. You could have it as faction currency, so like sector contribution and so on. Do we want a special item as currency? I could say that I would like to sell the gambling box for 50 meat buns. This could be declared right here. Do we want to override the price? If you remember, in the base Excel file with the item, you can set the price right here. It is currently at 100, so 100 when you could override it. Necessary relation, we'll just leave it as it is. Who sells it is personal, all of that is fine. We are done with this file, we can save this, we are also done with this file, and can head to our very last file, which would be the localization. This right here contains information on all of the items. In my case, we'll just go ahead and add it right here. We add a line anywhere. We need to both add item infos and item names. Okay, there we are. Just copy it over. 0 item info for, in this case, our loot box. The Chinese description: when open, get a random item. Obviously, you could make it have a real Chinese description, but we'll just make it easy for ourselves. The simplified Chinese translation, the English translation. And that is it for the item info portion. We can now head up to the item name portion. I just, so it's easier on yourself, would always add it near the same item, so let me just find that as well. And here we are with the exact same items. Insert a line above. Just copy the exact same thing, and you can probably tell what is my resume key for OBS nowadays. Loot box, create a name for it in Chinese, a name for it in simplified Chinese, and a name for it in English. You can save all of your Excel files and now compile your mod. And that is actually it. If you now check out your game and you activate the mod, you should be able to, on one hand, add the item to your inventory via the console. Additionally, you can find the vendor and buy the item.